Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today our setup is a little bit different. I thought I would film in natural light so you can see the details of this powder a little bit better. The powder we'll be talking about is a brand new release from Mercier, and this is their new talc-free ultra blur loose setting powder. Super excited to try this out. We'll also be comparing it to the original formula and doing a wear test side by side, flash test, all the things you need to know during this video. And if you find this helpful at any point, please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. But let's go ahead and get into these powders. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go over the details of each powder, and then we'll do one face with the new formula and one face with the original. One face, I just call myself two-faced. I'm gonna do one side of my face with each powder. I hope you like that I chose to do natural lighting. I thought it would be really nice to zoom up super close so we can get all the nitty-gritty details of these powders. So we'll just start with the original. This is the jumbo size. I got this during the holidays. That's why it doesn't look like the, original, like, it has this like brownish top to it packaging. So this is $40, not this one specifically, but the original one. And what is the amount? You get 1 ounce of powder. So this says it's a lightweight, easy to apply, loose powder that blends effortlessly to set makeup for up to 16 hours of wear. Has vitamin C and E and a skin conditioning amino acid powder. So this is pretty classic. I feel like if you are into makeup, you've probably tried this powder at some point. I do like it. It does have a matte finish. It does tint my face a little bit like yellow, a little bit darker because I am so fair. And we'll be comparing sort of that to the new formula, which is called their translucent loose setting powder, but this is the ultra blur version, which is a talc-free version of their powder, which is really exciting. So this is the new version. It is $44 and you get 0.7 ounces of product in here, which is interesting that it's less product. It is more expensive, which I do understand because I'm sure talc is cheaper than the like talc alternatives that they have in here, but you do get less product, even though it looks pretty much the same as the original. So this is a talc-free loose setting powder that is infused with hyaluronic acid for comfortable up to 16-hour wear, and it's ultra blurring. So this one has hyaluronic acid as mentioned, and amino acid and silica powders. So the ingredients in this one, the first ingredient is mica, and then there's lauryl lysine, which I believe can be an acne trigger for a lot of people. So be aware of that. There's zinc, aluminum starch, silica, sunflower seed oil, and then some just colorings in it. So this should be a really interesting comparison. For concealer, I'm going to be using my favorite Jouer. This is the high coverage concealer in lace. And on my face today, I have the Kosas foundation. I wanted to use base products that I'm super familiar with so I know how it works. And I have been trying the new powder for the past couple of days so I can get a really good feel for it. But we're just going to start with a little bit under the eyes. By the way, if you like this natural lighting format, definitely give this video a like and let me know in the comments below. It's hard to do it, especially like in the fall and winter, because I just don't get a lot of natural light here. But in the summer, there's a little bit coming through, so I thought it would be nice to do. I personally really like natural lighting videos. I feel like you can see makeup so much better, but unfortunately it's just not doable most of the time. And I'm just blending this out with this is the Shop Mercier Paw sponge. You can get these pack of like 10 on Amazon for a really good price. I love this concealer. It's so high coverage, but very, very like light on the skin. Just gives me what I want from a concealer. Before we set anything, I'm just gonna use my sponge and make sure my foundation is blended out and it hasn't settled anywhere. I also have cream, bronzer, and blush on, so we'll be setting that as well and see how it lays on top of that. Alrighty, now to set. We will start with the original formula. I'll do this one on the right side of my face, and then we'll do the new one on the left side. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. I'll also be switching my under eye brushes so that we do not like transfer the product. And I'm going to start with setting my under eyes, so I'm just going to coat my brush. This is a Real Techniques, what is this, setting brush? Really just one of the best under eye brushes. And then sort of like tapping off the excess. And I also like to go in with my finger before I set my concealer just to really get the creases smoothed out. So let's go ahead and set this. No real surprises here because I already am very familiar with this powder. It's really nice and smoothing, and it definitely has a matte finish. Not sure if you can tell. You actually can tell. It just has this yellowish tinge to it, which I wish it was like actually truly translucent, or even if they just came out with a new shade that was like a little bit lighter, or maybe like a white brightening shade. That would be really cool. Now I'm just setting the sides of my nose, smile line, and it is really smoothing and looks flawless on the skin. Honestly, I think this is a great powder. And then taking a big fluffy brush, we're gonna use this to set the rest of my face. I do like to use quite a lot of powder personally, and then usually just like brush off the excess. So there we have one side set with the original Laura Mercier formula. It looks really good, smooth and soft. Sorry, I keep looking over there. It's just where my viewfinder is and I don't have a mirror in front of me today. But next, let's get into this powder. Really excited about this. Like I said, I have been testing this for the past couple of days. We'll also be doing a wear test today. And I will say it is quite different from the original. We'll get into the details. So here is what the jar looks like. So first off, the feel of the powder I feel like is very different, like in between my fingers compared to the original. The original feels almost creamier, which is really interesting, and the new formula, it does still feel creamy, but maybe like just a little bit lighter. Like this seems to like coat my fingertips more, if that really helps with comparison at all, but they do have a different feel. Now I just have a different brush, but the same brush to use with this powder. Same technique, getting a lot on my brush, working it in, and then getting the excess off. And let's apply this. See how it goes. So there's not a huge difference. Maybe the light is just hitting my face unevenly. There's not a huge difference in between these two. I think this side is looking like more blurred and smoothed out, but I will say this powder does have a very slight, it's not glittery, it's not shimmery. It has a slight radiance to it, which I'm usually very opposed to. I find that any powders with shimmer or radiance really enhance my texture. So when I first applied this, I was like a little bit worried because you can see it just has a bit of a glowier, more lifelike finish than the original matte, but I will say I really like the finish of it. I don't find that it like emphasizes my under eye texture like a lot of like more glowy powders do. I wouldn't call this glowy, it's just a bit more lifelike than the original, which is like that really matte, fully set type of powder. Now I'm taking a similar shaped brush that I used for the right side of my face and getting the leftover powder, and then we're gonna go ahead and set this side of my face with the new formula. By the way, I do also find that the new one has that slight yellowish tinge like the original one does. So that's kind of unfortunate, but it's not like a huge difference to me. Like I still wear this powder and like it. All right, my lighting's changing a bit already. It's getting a little bit darker, but here is what the powders look like. This is the new Ultra Blur formula, talc-free. And then on this side, we have the original. I honestly don't think there's a huge difference, other than I feel like this side looks a little bit more blurred and it almost has a little bit more coverage to it, even though it's a translucent powder. It just seems to conceal things a bit better, but really not much difference besides the feel. I do like the finish of this. I think it kind of depends on what you're looking for. I will of course do an update, but let's check the time. It's 2:11 right now, so I will wear this to the end of the day and we'll check up and see if there's any difference in the wear, because they do both claim to be long wearing powders. I'm not gonna do any setting spray. I'll probably just do some more bronzer and blush and highlight on top of this, and then I will check in with you all at the end of the night. I'm super excited to see how they wear next to each other, but so far I've had a really good experience with this powder since I've been testing it the past week or so. I really like the finish of it. I think it's more for people, maybe if you have drier skin or you just like a slightly more lifelike finish to your skin, I think you would really like this. I personally think it's really blurring and pretty, and I like both powders, honestly. They have different uses in my mind. If I want something more mattifying, I would probably gravitate towards the original, like in my T-zone, maybe the under eyes, but I feel like this one just looks a little bit nicer on my under eyes and like around the perimeter of my face to give a more natural skin-like finish. I'd love to know in the comments if you can see any difference right now, because I can't tell a huge difference. We will see with the wear test, but yeah, that was about it. I will see you all at the end of the night. Wait, before we go, we have to do a flash test. They both claim to be flash resistant, flash proof. I don't know what the technical name is for it, but I'm gonna go ahead and take a picture on my phone. Okay, here is our flash test picture. It looks really good. So the side with my nose ring is the smooth, the new ultra blur powder. So that's this side right here. And then the other side is the original formula. Neither of them have flashback, and they both look really good. Like, no difference between the two. This powder's really good in flash photography. Love how that came out. No flashback, so you're good to go with flash photography. But yeah, all good so far. We'll see. All right, we're back for the wear test. It's 10:36, so the powder's been on for around 8 hours, and I did not touch it at all. I was very sweaty. It was super hot today, and I definitely sweat a lot on my face. So it really got put through the ringer, so we'll see how we are looking here. I'll insert some close-ups on my phone as well, so you can actually see what I'm talking about here. Again, this side was the new powder, the Ultra Blur, and then on my right side was the original formula. And the first thing that I noticed is my under eye. This under eye with the new powder has a lot more creases than the original one, which is pretty surprising, but I do find that with more radiant powders, they just don't lock in the concealer as nicely. So this under eye, I do notice a big difference between the two. In terms of like my oiliness on either side, I don't think there's a huge discretion between those two, so that's like pretty good. I feel like they both felt really comfortable on my skin. Also notice a deeper sort of smile line crease in this side with the new powder, whereas this one seems to be a little bit smoother. That might just be the way my face moved. Like that one just has a deeper crease than this one, because they look pretty similar, both creased, but I do feel like this side overall is looking better, which is the original formula. And I'm getting a lot of like sort of just like bunch foundation up around my nose, and both sides also kind of look the same in that area. In terms of my forehead, I don't notice anything different. I think in general both of these powders seem to be really good at oil control, because I'm actually a lot less oily than I usually am with especially the Kosas foundation. So just smoothing those creases out under my eyes, like it looks very good. But I would say number one thing is just this under eye with the new powder is a little bit more textured looking. So overall, I think they're both really nice powders. I would say this one is just a lot more smoothing for under your eyes. If you like just a very matte set in place powder, this one is a classic. But if you do prefer something that's talc free, I do like the finish of this a lot. Although it's not as nice under the eyes, I would probably still personally use this. Maybe I would just focus it around just the perimeter of my face, and then if you wanted to sort of use both, I would use this one in my T-zone under my eyes, and then I'd use the more like lifelike finish for the rest of my face. I think they're both nice, and I will definitely use both of them. I just do think the original formula performed a little bit better under the eyes. Other than that, there's not a huge difference. I think it will also depend on your skin type. If you have more drier skin, if you like more natural looking makeup, I think you might prefer the Ultra Blur powder. But if you want something matte that locks your makeup in place, that's really good at just improving the longevity of your makeup, I think the original is still just as good. So it's kind of up to you. I like both of them, as I mentioned. But anyway, that was about it for our wrap up. Both good powders. I'm impressed with the performance of them. Not much bad to say about them. I hope you found this video enjoyable and really helpful. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.